And we are live for Blue Water League's Masters Semifinals. I'm Isaac. Alongside me today is Go Farino here. Um,
Yeah.
Welcome in. And our matchup is between Lane Zero Maelstrom and Omega Akuma Pairing Knife. Say that 10 times fast. And we are getting in straight away with a very different looking setup here. Pro draft is, or not, I mean, not pro draft, but it's what we're on right now. Draft law is currently down, so we are opting into the pro draft as the alternative. So production, we're making do with what we can as it is. But before then, quickly bland away our Blitzcrank, Ellen, Rek'Sai, and Talia. And while Gofrino, I'm not as familiar with these teams as you might be. These look like very much like targeted bans as opposed to just general meta bans.
Yeah, Lane Zero definitely throwing out much more targeted bans here. Zero APK is how I keep reading them in my name, but Omega Akuma gonna be throwing out much more meta bans here. We do have one of Draftful's very infamous just missing bans that has happened all the time. I haven't got any confirmation as to what that ban is just quite yet. See what the prow is here. The Varus being hovered. Gonna be locked in. Unsurprising. That is a very strongly contested ADC pick in the meta right now. Although the Jinx is potentially up unless that's the one missing ban here. I wouldn't be surprised if that's locked in. The Zeri also very strong right now. Could be seeing that locked in as a response here from Omega Akuma. But they could also just pick up some other power picks for themselves here and save ADC for R3.
That. All right then. Going to select Viego first. I'm not as familiar with. I mean, obviously, in the jungle pick. I haven't seen a lot of Viego recently. I know he's always has the potential because of the like items taking from other goons when you get your reset to pop off no matter what, but I haven't seen him necessarily even be considered all that strong recently. So I'd have to imagine go for that one's going to go straight into the hands of Riddy. And I don't know how familiar he is on the champ, but maybe you can enlighten us if you.
Yeah, I've been seeing the Viego crop up more and more here in the meta. Not the most first pickable jungler. Usually we've seen teams put prio on other picks, but that's going to be what
Like this.
Omega Akuma goes for here. Pairing it with the Smolder as well. Smolder making a bit of a comeback here after the buffs a few patches ago. Going to be a strong scaling option. Of course, though, Xin Zhao going to be locked in. That is kind of the big meta menace in the jungle right now here, Isaac, because you just have such strong dueling early on. It lets you lock down a lot of control on the map. Set up team, get your lane snowballing, or just get early objectives.
Yeah, and having that mid jungle right now, Xinjiao Ari is pretty much the combination that you want on your team right now, especially if you are in a Stallion and Griffin, both the rank 1 and 2 players in Masters after the regular season, and picking them up, a very strong mid jungle definitely. It certainly seems like an early recipe for success for Lane Zero Maelstrom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very strong mid game coming out from them here. So you got to pick between all three of these champions. They all spike pretty well on about an item and a half here. So you definitely can make things happen here right now. Mega Akuma, they definitely got the scaling on their side just due to the fact that they have Smolder and Syndra, two well scaling champions, and we'll see what the pros are here. I'm expecting Omega Akuma to lock in their support here on the R4 pick, unless they're really worried about the top lane pool being pinched, as we can see right now. But usually want to save that R5 pick here for counter pick in one of your solo lanes.
Typically that's how it would go. I would I would imagine that. Yeah, that's precisely how it would go, especially since we are targeting towards that top lane. I'd have to imagine Silas. Uh, while I mean he's seen playing the top lane, so he's definitely considered a top laner. I'm assuming Thousander Sage plays quite a bit of Silas in the top lane. I don't necessarily think you have too many ultimates that you feel like need preventing from stealing away from your end, but I mean that can quickly change. Especially if we get something like a Cho'Gath. No, I don't know. I would be surprised, but
Yeah.
Or actually,
Well,
Alistar would be a really good ultimate to steal, actually. So,
mhm.
yeah.
Yep, I'm going to be locking that on in here. So it is indeed going to be that R5 counter pick. Navy being hovered, I think this is a little meme, but technically you can play support in Nivea. I wouldn't like it into the All-Star, but it is technically an option. Other than that, though, we'll see what lane 0 wants to go for here. Still a lot of pick. The Croc going to be locked in the top lane, so another very strong mid-game champion as well. Lane 0 just kind of covering the bases across the board here, Isaac. They shouldn't really have any lane that hard loses here, and all their lanes should be able to pop off here and carry a lead.
Yeah, and if there is a team that really does like carrying their leads, it's definitely Lane 0 Maelstrom so far, having picking up that 3-0 victory over DZG6, though equally you could say every quarterfinal was a 3-0 series last week. But it's still definitely on point with how, from what I understand, in the like 2 hours I had knowing that I'd be casting this game, of reading about Lane 0 is that very strong emphasis on these solo lanes. And you can definitely see that with the draft that they currently have, or that they do have now.
Yep, and Omega and Akuma actually going to lock in the Olaf top lane here to be going into the Renekton. Definitely interesting. Obviously, once you have the Ragnarok, you can just ignore a lot of the Renekton's all-in potential. That, and also you just have such a degenerately strong level 1/level 2, thanks to being able to pick up the axes and all the steroids from your W. We'll have to see how it works out here, though, for Omega Akuma.
I do see what they're like generally trying to do. I feel like a lot of these competitions are very similar in I guess their makeup and their objectives and what they want to do. But I mean, considering I feel like Lane Zero's is a lot more orthodox in that sense, and also all the power picks that you want on your team right now. And assuming, other than maybe Jinx, and assuming that first ban is, like you said, welcome to a pro draft moment, where I understand why it ends up happening, because in game, how it works in League of Legends, you have 30 seconds to pick and ban champions, like per round. But it actually starts to count down at 27. So when it hits 0, you still have 3 seconds to like lock in your pick. However, what Pro Draft does a little bit differently is that it starts at 30 seconds, counts down to 0, and as soon as it hits 0, that's it. It's an empty slot. So, it's a mistake that happens all the time on this program, but it's currently the only one we have available to draft. So, yeah. So other than that presumed missing ban being Jinx, it's just about it's not quite the Exodia comp, but it's very close.
Yeah, we did get confirmation, though, that first missed ban was actually Jax.
Oh.
So Jinx did actually get through the picking ban entirely here. So I guess Omega Akuma just wanting the Smolder instead. That's also strong scaling. And yeah, it's going to be that here. Curious to see. Because Smolder has been doing some decent work early on in laning phase from the games I've seen, weirdly enough. Even though it is supposed to be that scaling champion, you apparently have some pretty decent damage for early trades, especially once you get the Sheen first, since you're now going the Essence Reaver into... It's a crit focus build. I forget what the second item is, but it is no longer Shoujin. I know that much.
And thank goodness that was a nightmare. that was something else. But I think with that underway, the last thing we have go for it is, how do you think this series is going? Personally, I have, on my limited knowledge, I have 3-0 to Lane 0. It's just simply because on paper they look just so strong. I mean, they've only dropped one game in the regular season, and that's what I'm basing it off of, and also the fact that they've been able to, in this game 1, draft all the strong champs with all the good buttons. So
yeah, I'm not entirely sure myself, because I haven't seen enough of these two teams in the regular season, and I haven't seen what their off-stream matches were like, so I can't really say. Just looking at this game 1 draft, it definitely feels a little Lane 0, like you said, because they got a lot of the pretty strong picks in the meta right now, and it feels like their composition, it just comes online at about the same time, and everybody can just start off a fight here. So pretty straightforward composition. Whereas Omega Akuma, like you got the two scaling champions, you got the Olaf who might be trying to split push here, and you don't have the best front line. You know, maybe a little bit more all around the area, but if Omega Akuma do get to the late game, the Smolder Cinder should be able to pop off.
Well, we'll have to wait and see until then, because we are heading into the spectator delay. But when we come back, we will have loaded onto the Rift for Game 1 for Blue Water League's Master Semifinals between Lane Zero Maelstrom and Omega Akuma Pairing Knives. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in just a few minutes. And we are finally back after an extended delay. We had to remake the game because two players in total, one on either team, had selected the wrong runes. And
Yeah.
so we had to remake the lobby, which meant extra time, which meant longer delay for to get into game one, unfortunately. But we are here nonetheless now, Go for
Yep. I'm gonna be very calm. Level 1 coming on out here. Keeping an eye on where NA Stallion wants to go here once they hit level 3 and have double buffs. The Rift is a little bit of their oyster here, Isaac. They can make so much happen. Be able to lock down people. That red buff, that bop up with that 3-talent strike can lead to easy first bloods in any of these lanes here.
Yeah, it it really is that I mean, maybe not exactly that simple, but I would be surprised if you find anything else. The only thing that I see maybe happening here is considering if you look at where HTK is currently positioned, that maybe hoping that NA Stallion would start exactly on the blue buff, but outside of that, we're probably going to have to wait until level 3 to see any blood beast spilled or any major trade taps, except for maybe here in the bot lane because Alistar notoriously has a very bad level 1. But outside of that, we should be fairly calm and collected. I say that, but HTK I say that as soon as I say that, HTK will pick up like 5 axes in a row and land all of them.
Yep. Olaf top. What else can you really say? Like, you have such a degenerate like level 1 and level 2. Level 3 is also really strong as well. It's like, can you really contest with an Olaf who basically just gets to continuously recast the undertow on you? Pick up axe after axe. Usually you can't.
Yeah, not until you get forcibly put under this tower, but even then, obviously with this wave getting built up and with health bar as low as it is for Arthur, I would be surprised if we see a dive this early, but you know, you never know what's on the cards, especially if the health bars do stay that low, but Arthur should be okay for now.
Yep, I'm gonna just chill under that turret. It does mean though you can see HTK roaming into the enemy jungle here with King Coney. Gonna take away some camps. Not gonna find anything though.
Some camps that aren't there. Which, I mean, it is information. You would then know for sure that it's absolutely going to be an A Stallion on that bottom side. That being said, Arthur going to have to flash away there to be careful. So flash for Ghost, but overall I'd have to say bigger loss is that flash, especially as now King Coney is here for the gank. HK looking a little bit low already, and Arthur's just going to hightail it out of there before anything else comes of that.
Yep. Looks like a good gank there from King Coney, but that is one of the reasons why we see a lot of the Renekton here in the meta. Like, it is hard to gank when that slice and dice is up. You slice and dice through the enemy jungler or through a minion. To get out of that one hunky dory. We have any Stallion here sitting on the side. Charmed as land.
Yeah, but the health bars are so low. And actually, speaking of moving around the map, King Coney and Ratchet are here now. NA Stallion going to be spotted out. Brash, is Brash going to flash? Is he going to save King Stallion? Maybe, maybe not. King Stallion going low. King Coney trying to find it. Does get the first blood. And now here comes King Coney. And actually, there's multiple King Coneys in this lobby. But we have 4 members on the side of Omega of pairing knives coming through, picking up yet another one. Brash should be able to get out of there with the dredge line, but as we move up to the top lane, HTK going to be able to pick up that axe multiple times, throwing it down, gets that solo kill on the top side, so all across the map, it is Omega, Akuma pairing knives, collecting W's left, right, and center, or I guess top, mid, and bot, more likely.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Able to get some strong dubs across the board here. Solo kill in the top lane coming out from HTK because of Arthur's flash being down. And that was just a good roam up from the bot lane by both Ratchet and King Coney, the ADC. We'll say that, King Coney, ADC. Pick up that first blood there because Stallion wanted to gank that mid lane there, but we saw how low Griffin was, unable to help with that gank. And mid too easy, able to dodge out of that wind becomes lightning. Just a nice little chase down there to secure 2 kills in that bot side there for both your scaling carries here.
Yeah, at the very least, you'd say that it's probably going to be a little bit long before those scaling carries to come online. That you can definitely in the next few minutes turn that around with how much power you have, especially as we start hitting these level 6s soonish, TM. Uh, you should be able to have more power in your hands, and if there is a team that should be able to recover from this, it is Lane 0 Maelstrom. Do you have another exchange here in the top lane, though? Health bar is a little bit too high for now. Arthur maybe in a slight little bit of trouble there with the wave starting to freeze in the ultimate danger zone where you don't want it to, especially when you're down on an Olaf top lane.
Yeah, it's not like as Renekton you can really easily walk up and contest that here to get it to force to push in, because then you're putting yourself in melee range. If you're in melee range, that means you're in axe range. That's not a fun time. Even though it is 3-0 in kill lines right now, due to the fact that King Coney, the jungler, kind of cleared out bot side, was pathing towards top. It means that Lane 0 able to grab this first dragon of the game. It is going to be Clown Dragon. Going to be traded for the Void Grubs on the other side of the mountain. Rejective trade.
Yeah, it's the classic first neutral objective trade. I would say about 80% of the games that I've seen so far this season have gone that way. And it's understandable why the argument for one or the other will always forever be probably inconclusive, or really more correctly, if you can utilize the extra turret damage you get from the grubs, especially early on with these plates, it can be a massive injection of gold that the Drakes can't compare to. However, you can't quite utilize the tower damage, then they're basically useless, and you'd rather have the extra Drakes at least stacking, if not for anything else, for that soul.
Yep. Dragons, of course, do outscale. And calm on the rip here.
I will say I have seen some pretty nasty Void Grubs usage in some games before, where in a recent one back in week 7 in Diamond, we had 2 solo towers go down with full plates.
Yeah.
which is something that the grubs do potentially enable. So it is certainly, yeah, it very much boils down to that utilization. That being said, Dominus and Ragnarok both propped at the same time from both top laners. I guess both in anticipation of each other doing exactly what they had in mind, and so they'll just use those ultimates and walk away from each other. It's a bit silly to see, but there you have it.
Arthur able to keep that trade going in their favor there, even though they did give up that first blood there. If you look at the inventories, he was down in ionization, was down a pair of boots, was down cloth armor. That is the crocodile here. Shaping up in the spot side, looking at the bot roam here as well.
It's going to be prevented, so we have fights all over the place, but it'll be mostly zoning out from the side of Omega Akuma pairing knives. That being said, it will be Alistar popping that ultimate, so not going to have that damage reduction available coming in this fight. Flash in, pulverize headbutt, finally getting the kills, but it is a trade of kills. King Coney the now not going to be quite taken down, taken low though. Now the jungler getting all the resets. King Coney, this is going to be one hell of a series to cast. We have King Coney and King Coney on the side of Omega Akuma. Going to go very low, and now hightail it out of here with the very little health remaining there. We'll have the help of mid 2 easy to guide him out of there and not prevent any further chasing from Griffin. So it'll be mostly all right. But once again, Omega Akuma is starting to pull away once they hear again here.
Yep, coming out on top in that trade there. Hope we get more kills and start getting some money into King Coney, the jungler's pockets here. Be very nice.
Oh, Ratchet with the really wide gank. Very unorthodox. Will take a few tower shots as a result. HDK going to have that Ragnarok again, and so won't be able to be stunned up. Gets a decent amount of damage, but that leaves King Coney, the ADC, left alone
Ooh,
to just
yeah.
be. I mean, what do you do here? I mean, what can
Yeah.
you do?
I
I mean,
mean,
here
we have
comes
the
the
Calvary.
oh yeah, you can blunder the tower aggro trading, and actually with the pathing, hand over kills over to the jungler. Now in a stallion very low. The teleport came down from HTK. You claim the smolder, but at what cost? That is I believe a 3-for-1 trade going out to the side to Omega Akuma once more. So our pre-game predictions not quite coming true, at least here 11 minutes in.
Yeah, very strong just counter pile coming out from Omega Akuma there. Because I mean, King Coney the ADC, we kind of knew they were dead, but I thought, that was just gonna be the end of the story. We see some other people coming.
Oh,
HTK doesn't
HTK
really have
hasn't
mana here.
hasn't hasn't recalled and just said no mana, no Ragnarok. Here comes the support. So usually you think, oh, Nautilus, he can't stop Olaf. He just says no to CC, but that's not available to him, and that will be a decent amount of gold going over to the side of Bondi. So a really big blunder here on the side of Omega Akuma, just handing that gold over, and also all the while getting a bit of free solo XP to their ADC.
And that's gonna give up Dragon here as well. King Coney the jungler once again in top side right now, but they also saw the bot lane in the top side here. She's gonna give over a free dragon. Not the fastest dragon stack thing coming out here from lane 0, but decently fast, sitting on 2-0 in the soul stack count. Able to carry that on to a soul here in about 10 minutes time if you stay on top of it.
Yeah, but once again, it is another one of those early neutral objective trades. 6 scrubs going over the side of Omega Akuma pairing knives. And even though HTK did have that little hiccup there earlier, should still be feeling mostly okay in this matchup. Into Renekton, popping that Ragnarok once again. Sometimes, honestly, I just get so surprised by how short that cooldown is. Been too easy, going to have to flash away though, as it was Brash moving into that lane. Ratchet though going to just headbutt in a stallion away, and yeah, nothing else coming from that.
Yep. Gonna force out the flash and TP here from mid too easy in the mid lane there, so good roam up there from Brash. Taking off some summoners here from the Syndra, making that champion just a bit more vulnerable. Any future ganks that do come out here. Full roams.
You'd have to expect them to at some point, especially with how behind lane 0 Maelstrom has fallen so far in the early part of this game. I would be very surprised in the next few minutes not to see a bit more focus. Move over to, oh wait, hold on, depth charge going to try to find its way onto King Coney. Going to be blocked out by Ratchet. Now here comes counter engage. Mom going to be called. Brash going low. Has no aftershock to speak of. Will be found out. Going to be King Coney getting that first kill. Bondi going to find a return, but that's going to be a 2-for-1 nonetheless. As it's going to go, and the kills as well are going to go on to exactly who they want them to. Both King Coneys, both on these high damage champions.
With 6 grubs as well. This is certainly first turn. Yep. Grabbed on up. Wasn't in full plating zone. I believe they missed
They missed it by 20 seconds.
Yeah. So I think
by
they
the
missed
time they
1 or 2
the
plates
tower
there.
down. I think it was at 3. Maybe it was at 4. But yeah, 1 or 2. Nonetheless, going to be the case. I always find the animation on the grubs like kind of flopping towards somebody. Oh, I find it always hilarious since actually pause that. The art come through. Ragnarok going to be popped. Going to find Arthur getting very low. That being said, first he'll going on to Brash, but now in a stallion cutout as well. 3-4-0 currently going over to the side of Omega Akuma, going to be able to pick up 3-0 there, and probably the Rift Herald. So they claimed everything in the Baron Pit so far, and have put it to very good use. Claiming that first tower, probably going to be a second HK in this top lane, completely uncontested as well. So even though we have those stacking Drakes towards lane 0, I do think that a third or especially a fourth will be very difficult if Omega Akuma pairing knives can keep up the pace that they've been setting.
Yep. Right now, pretty commanding lead, you know. 5k separates them and the enemy team. Of course, there's a bit of invisible gold, what with the Grubbies, what with the dragons. But right now, definitely in favor of Omega Akuma here. Did have a request actually. Can we check the smolder stacks here real quick while we have a bit of spare time, Caddy? Oh, we do not have spare time.
Oh yeah, you were saying spare time, but all of that time is gone. Bondi going to be picked out. Ratchet probably could have stayed under tower a little bit longer to try to help King Coney there on the smolder to maybe get Bondi a little bit lower, maybe even a kill. Probably less likely to kill. That being said, there's no vision in this bush. Mid too easy, going to go down. Shut down, getting claimed up by Griffin. And now as we head up, King Coney on the Viego going to go low, and going to be another shutdown claimed by Griffin. So 2 kills for nothing towards this bottom half jungle, as well as the camps available going to be picked up by lane 0 Maelstrom. So a small sign of life for lane 0 in this relatively dark early and mid game that they have experienced so far.
Very healthy sign of life, getting those kills right before Dragon as well. You won't be able to back and spend that gold here. We saw it in that gold inventory check there. However, taking those 2 members off the map is going to give you a lot more control over this river. Just set up more vision, choking on out. Just keep on setting up. Of course, though, it is a quintuple grubby gaming here. So turrets don't last long if they're left alone.
And actually with that teleport coming through that did zone off Bondi there, it does mean that Omega Akuma will have the positioning in on this Drake, should be able to pick it up without any sort of trouble, and will pick it up without any sort of trouble. So the stacking is no longer on the side of lane 0, will not have that soul point either for the next Drake. And so all things considered, even though it was a large amount of gold shifting up to the side of lane 0, there's still quite a few positives on the side of Omega Akuma that, even though you wouldn't have liked to see those 2 shutdowns going on to Griffin, I still think they're feeling relatively okay about this one.
Yeah, especially since they have the scaling advantage here, just purely because you have Syndra's here. And they're already at 1.5 items here.
I would even argue Syndra's Smolder Viego in comparison to Xin Zhao being far better at scaling, being all the while. So yeah, interesting. Probably. Sorry, I feel like I may have cut off your idea there after I started speaking. I'm not quite sure where I was going with that one, other than the fact that Omega Akuma still in the driver's seat with this one.
Yeah, nothing too much to do on the map for now. Right now, it's looking for some picks here because there's no Herald, there's no Dragon, Baron, taking all the outer turrets here. So it's just looking for side lane plays like we see right here, or just taking off the jungle. Blue buff is the fight right now. Ratchet in some danger.
Playing by King Coney. Ratchet going to have to flash away, taking quite a bit of damage, but will it be enough? Here comes the rest of lane 0, trying to find anyone out of these 2. Ratchet is going to inevitably go down, but will he live long enough to find the rest of his team? Will it be alright? King Coney going to pick up in a Stallion, so has the rest of Omega Akuma come through. King Coney will get quite a few resets and quite a few kills, so currently 3 for 3. Here comes the rest of the side of Omega Akuma, and it will be 5 for 3. Triple kill going over to King Coney. King Coney is living long enough to set up King Coney on Smolder. There. That is a very interesting. We live in an interesting world where these days in League of Legends, where people can have the same screen name, and I guess the side of Omega Akuma decided to fully lean into that, naming. Even on their starting roster on the master sheet, it says all of them should be named King Coney. according to their starting roster, I don't know how necessarily accurate this is, but according to them, every single person on their team should be King Coney. Uh, I would I don't know. I don't know if I would have liked to see that or if I would hate to see it. I'm kind of torn on that matter, but nonetheless, we the two King Conies. I guess what we call King Coney the first and King Coney the second.
I've
Like
been going with King Coney jungler and King Coney ADC.
Obviously, that's not fun though, is it?
It does communicate it enough.
It does. You know yeah it is probably better, but either way, interesting naming, interesting names aside, we'll get a charge with this Rift Herald here. Won't be able to quite bust open that second mid lane tower. That being said, all the while, this map's still opening just all that bit more for Omega Akuma, as they did take that top lane tier 2 just a few minutes earlier. And I would have to imagine, with the lead they have, and especially with the side lane pressure that HTK has been able to generate, should be able to see that head over to the bot side very soon as well. Hold on. Don't want to commit too much to the bot side, but you also don't want to commit too much for this blind Baron, as that's going to be your mid laner going down. Griffin going to see the gray screen right here, and with that member down and the teleport coming over, they're moving right onto the Baron, and they feel fairly healthy about taking this one. HTK still be alright. Brash going to flash in. They're going to try to contest this one all as possible, but not enough damage has come through for the side of lane 0. Maelstrom in a Stallion going low, in a Stallion going down. Ratchet going to be taken low himself though, so one trade of kills for now, but with these health bars the way they are, it's still going to be largely Omega Akuma favored here. It's really not much. Hold on, Brash going to find the hook. Will it be enough damage? The burst is going to be able to find one, and now two going on to King Coney. Another shutdown for Griffin. So it all landed before teleport coming through, but now mid 2 easy has arrived to help the rest of the team. Does pick up that kill onto Arthur. So once again, an equal trade of kills, but most importantly, going to be another big shutdown going on the side of Griffin. And I think with the amount of gold that Griffin has attained through both this pretty significant farm lead at some point, but most importantly, those 3 kills have been fairly large shutdowns. I think all of them at least had been 500 gold, if I saw correctly. So not only is it going to be Griffin with that gold and the 3 kills, also going to be the extra. Yeah, Ratchet's feeling okay about this one, probably. Yeah.
Ratchet just grittying on them.
I mean, there's no better skin. There's no better Alistar skin to do that on than Moo Cow.
That wasn't the cowbell though.
I know. I didn't see the cowbell. I think if Ratchet dropped the cowbell on them, I think lane 0 Maelstrom. Oh wait, hold on. That's a kill, right? Yeah, there it is. Griffin going to pick up that kill onto Ratchet. Not going to be a shutdown this time, and actually it's going to be the Locket of the Iron Solari going to be able to keep Griffin alive there. So an extra kill going on the side of lane 0 Maelstrom. 300 gold. Going to feel quite alright. That being said, King Coney does have that.
This is a 2v3.
It is a 2v3, but that's going to be a classic Olaf moment as he just runs you down, not going to care at all about any sort of CC from Xin Zhao or Varus, or, well, anybody really, and as he decides, you're too close to me, you are gone.
Yep, that is one of the things here. It is an Olaf that won top lane, it is an Olaf that snowballed here. You don't really have consistent damage right now on this lane 0 composition because you went the lethality burst, so you're not able to burst through the Xin Zhao or burst through the Olaf or melt them down.
Oh, hold on, Brash going low. King Coney on the Smolder, going to pick up 1, going to pick up 2, but not before Viego goes down. So only 1 King Coney remaining, but that being said, I don't believe it'll matter all that much. That'll be 3 for 1 over to the side of Omega Akuma pairing knives. Once again, they won't restart that Baron after taking a winning fight around the pit.
And not even going for the Baron here, of course, because King Tony jungler is dead right now, and then Ace Stallion's alive. You don't really want to go for that. You're not going to win the smite fight when you're instead.
I'm so
So
dumb.
take
I
the
didn't
fight
even.
dub, turret here,
I'm
extend your gold
dumb.
lead.
I didn't even. I even said it that VA goes down, King Coney in the jungle. Sometimes my own levels of my I think my stupidity sometimes it has its own gravitational field with how massive it is. Um that was but you are right. That would exactly be the reason why they wouldn't head back onto the Baron. Oh dear. That's not good.
Yep. While we have some calm here, are we able to get the Smolder stat?
I know he
check here,
does
Gabby?
have the
There's been a few
execute
requests in Twitch
available.
chat.
When we see it, maybe.
Baron is still the name of the game here.
Yeah, and we do have some positioning around it from the side of lane 0. Going to be able to grab some vision. Going to be able to at least see if it's getting taken underneath them and be able to get some positioning if they try to contest. Bonnie's going to be fairly alright for now. Not going to be affected by that slow because of itemization. Ratchet going to pop the ultimate. Not going to be taking too much damage just yet. But that being said, it is very early from Ratchet and without much damage getting used. Without that ultimate available on the Alistar, that is going to be one very squishy cow, especially as they turn onto the Baron now. And going to be in close proximity for the side of lane 0 to move into this one. We should be able to see just in a Stallion. They're missing a few. That being said, they deal with the Ragnarok, and King Coney will find that first kill on the reset. Going to pick up another. This fight is all but done and dusted. Brash goes down 4-0 so far. Or not 4-0, 3-0, but it will quickly be 4 with Griffin. And HDK is still alive. So yes, 4-0, and Bondi is the only one left alive, but he does have a full health bar. I doubt he'd be able to walk through this one, especially since mid too easy King Coney on the Smolder having all the health in the world. Going to feel fairly okay about this one, and that should be within seconds. Baron getting picked up by Omega Akuma Paring Knives.
On all 5 members as well. Dragon's up in a few seconds here. Grab that, put yourself on soul point. Or you could just push here. Since you have the scaling advantage, you should be able to just kind of end the game here. Or basically end the game off the back of this push here. Unless you majorly screw up here, give up some big shutdowns, and completely nullify this Baron power play. But with how it is, you're head and scaling, you're on gold, you're on objectives. This game is you know.
It's yeah, I mean it's I don't think it's good saying any game is doomed as a caster, but if there ever was a doomed game, this one's looking very rough. I know in Diamond we've just last week, we had a bit more of a ridiculous comeback, so I guess nothing's impossible by that standard, but this would definitely take the cake as for biggest comeback. Should Lane 0 find any sort of fight just in general, especially with how many minions we have in this bottom lane pushing into the tower with the Void Grubs as well, with having all 6. They can't even walk up to the siege minions at all. Like, how do they Ratchet hitting them with the cowbell. It's a sad state of affairs if you're on the side of Lane 0 Maelstrom right now.
Yeah, and the fact that it is an Ocean Soul this game, and there's already 3 Ocean Dragons here for Omega Akuma, it does make life even harder right now for Lane 0, because you don't really have the consistent damage, or really a lot of damage right now on your team with how hard you're playing, but you're
on stalled, and Stallion going to go low. They will find Smolder to start off the fight. I'm just not sure how much it'll matter with how big HTK is. Double kill already picked up by the top laner of Omega Akuma. Triple kill, maybe cloning through. Quadra, will we? Pins up. Okay, there's too many minions. Even if they tried diving that tower, there's just too many minions. Game's over, and it's a very convincing performance from Omega Akuma's Paring Knives. going to be able to pick up game one against the, I guess, at least our expectations in a very dominant fashion here, just in 30 minutes.
Yeah, it did take some time, even though they were kind of ahead all game here, Isaac. Like 30 minutes isn't usually like, oh, we completely dominated the game, but it's in the like we kind of saw the entire game. It felt like Omega Akuma, they're just one step ahead for the majority of the game. All their lanes got ahead. They're able to win all the fights basically. It was only giving up some big shutdowns around in that mid game there and giving up those first two dragons. That's where that's probably the sussiest things they did. But other than
I
that,
wouldn't even say they gave
pretty
up the
solid.
first two. I wouldn't even say they gave up the first two drakes. They just kind of traded them for the grubs, and I think that's what it boils down to with the grubs v dragons conversation as well. Can you use the grubs and their effect? And well, Omega Akuma pairing knives utilize that extra tower damage just about perfectly as we get the extra damage dealt here. Are there any surprises? I mean, not really.
No.
No, it looks about
really.
right. That's about how the game went in a picture.
I do want to see damage here for the last member.
we are slightly covering
I'm
it.
curious if Stallion was that damaged, but
I would. Now my counter question is: does it necessarily matter all that much? Considering, damage strict damage counts don't exactly show who that damage is onto. I would say HDK 777. Even though outdamaged by Smolder when it's Smolder 2, a lot of the damage that HDK did was onto the key members of the side of lane 0 and made it practically unplayable for them. And so, like I said, doesn't tell the entire story. And that, yeah, I'm putting that one forth. I did think HDK popped off there, especially with that solo kill. And the, if we remember back to about 3-4 minutes in. But, yeah, any final thoughts before we send it to the break and to the draft of game 2? Go for it,
Yeah, I want to see what lane 0 want to do going into this next game here, because they had very strong picks all across the board here. It just kind of felt like they're kind of one up by the competition in every position here. So I want to see what's the change going into the next game.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Any adjustments that lane 0 do have, they will have side select for game 2. And we'll just have to see how they adapt. And but until then, don't go anywhere, because we will be back with that very quickly. And we are back for game two between Lane Zero Maelstrom and Omega Akuma pairing knives here in Blue Water League's Masters semifinals. Looks like we have a change of sides for game two here, Farino.
Right now it is Omega Akuma up 1-0 in the series. It is a best of 5 though, so they will need 2 more dubs here to move on to the finals here. Lane
And
0. Well, they're of course going to need to take 3 whole dubs if they do want to move on here. There's no losers bracket, so whoever dips out tonight is out for good.
yeah, and Omega Akuma obviously one step close to what I have to assume would be a fairly big upset, considering Lane Zero had only dropped one game the whole entire regular season. So in that time, they have doubled their total losses this season so far. It'll be interesting to see how. Oh yeah, go ahead.
To be fair, this is only the second week of playoffs, so hasn't
Well,
been many opportunities to double it so far. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but there were also have been 6 weeks in the regular season that they've played, so that's multiple attempts to lose more than just one game. That being said, Pike, I surely not, right? We're trolling the casters. Haha, funny joke. No, they did it.
It's gonna be the
They did it. I mean, on one hand, I'm extremely excited because, Pike pick. That's cool. On the other hand, guys, why are we picking Pike first? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, Pike first pick is a real eyebrow raiser here. Because Pike is certainly pickable. We've seen him in the pro leagues here and there, but this tends to be a little easy to counter here. You see Leona come out. That's a great champion because the Pike goes in the undertow and then you just stun him up. Pike that CC lock tends to die. It does also kind of reveal your hand here that you're going to be going for either a very safe bot lane so this Pike can roam, or a very aggressive lane so this Pike can just all in. You don't really pick like, oh, I'm just going to pick a smaller Jinx here with this Pike, just scale up. You're looking for fights here, whether it's in bot lane or somewhere else on the map.
Well, with Leona Ashe being the selection from the side of lane 0, I'd have to expect that it would be fights in the bot lane, unless of course Omega Akuma do end up picking Ziggs, and if I wouldn't be too surprised if we see that going to the bot lane. As you said, it would open up. Okay, well, that one I don't maybe like as much.
The thing with Sivir into Leona is you can't spell shield the CC combo because there are 2 spells in that, and you only get to spell shield 1. And then you also throw in an Ashe into the mix, which makes things harder. Of course, if you're able to stay safe as Sivir, you're able to just auto clear waves and be perma safe. But it's gonna take a while for that, and you only got 1 spell shield here. You see the cleanse as well, but the Olaf though, I mean that worked out well last game in the top lane for HTK. Gonna be locking that in blind this time around. Looks like Gragas probably gonna be the answer here in the top lane.
Probably, especially since I'm pretty sure it was banned out last time. As we had a lot of top lane bans last time around, I would have to imagine that was very much targeted. That being said, not too sure about this Nidalee ban. I mean, I guess. I don't imagine her being exactly all that high of priority. I mean, maybe one thing I think of is that King Coney, at least the jungler King Coney, might be a fan of the AP junglers, considering Evelyn seems very targeted. But yeah, I'm not too sure about that one.
Yeah, I'm just taking away some junglers here, interestingly enough. Well, a singular jungler here in the second phase. There's take their time here. I mean, lane 0, they got strong engage so far with Ashe Leona. Gragas also great engage here. I'm assuming we're going to see either a carry jungler or a very strong scaling mid laner here, just so you have extra juice in the tank. Okay. There you go. Definitely extra juice in the tank here, because Ashe falls off a little bit as the game goes on, puts out respectable damage, of course, but since you go for non-crit builds and Ashe not designed to be a complete carry, bit between the utility bit, between the carry. It's going to fall off a little
Ooh.
compared to that Sivir. So locking the Viego here, giving you that extra bit of juice here for these fights, especially with that reset potential.
I don't. I mean, they'll pick Ari as their mid laner, but I don't exactly mind. Wouldn't exactly mind that Zac pick if they do end up picking up here on B5, simply because you do have that extra flexibility with Olaf around, and you can kind of place that where you want. However, this one's not going to be nearly as flexible, but a bit more common if they do go with it. And just considering how little time we have left in the pick bans. Yeah, that'll be Vi, and so that'll be a fairly forward straight comp from Omega Akuma as to where they're going.
Yeah, and very straightforward comp in terms of fighting here. You got the Sivir for scaling, you got Ari,
Brand jungle,
Olaf
Brand
and
jungle.
Vi for backlane disruption. Not too high in the Vi here though, because
Boo. Brand jungle. Oh, wait, actually, hold
probably
on.
Brand mid here into the Ari.
Probably.
Unless they're running Gragas mid with Viego top. Is it gonna be the Brand mid here? That does give you very strong scaling. It's great against the Unga Bunga coming out from Omega Akuma here. Problem is you will get run down very easily. So you're really just gonna be throwing out that one spell rotation and then hoping the rest of your team can finish off here, which can set up for some nice Viego resets. Don't get me wrong.
We will see in a few moments as to where these champions are going. I mean, it would be funny to see Brand jungle, Viego top, Gragas mid. As awful as that would be for lane 0, considering their lane opponents. I mean, I can hope and dream for suboptimal decisions. I don't even know if I mean, if Brand in the mid lane. I mean, surely. I mean, I guess he's a pretty big damage threat. Can definitely do tons of damage if you line up a perfect ultimate, a good old pyroclasm. But yeah, I don't. Like you said, I don't know exactly how easily that Brand will be able to get that off, especially considering who you have. I mean, Vi, Pike. You step forward a little bit too far, and it is over for you in this case.
Yeah, it's rough. One of the benefits of Brand is, of course, you can just face roll your keyboard and insta-9 team fights and still do the most damage in game. But another reason why we don't see the Brand mid lane is that you don't typically need mid lane levels and mid lane gold income to do that. Like, as support, it's perfectly fine. You get enough gold in the game eventually to get a Leandri's and probably a Rylai's. That's kind of all you really need here as the Brand. Of course, extra level, extra gold will make those combos hit even harder. Question is, what will he be able to do here? Because you are going to be having to deal with Vi and Pike here, like you mentioned, Isaac. Two champions that can look to gank or roam early.
And I can actually confirm that in the client, we do have the Gragas top, Viego jungle, Brand mid on the side of lane 0. So going to be as you suspected, and honestly, if we're being deep down about it, I suspected it would be, but you know, I wanted a bit of fun. You know, you can always hope for that, right? let me dream. No, but yeah, I mean, overall, it is another actually kind of got a very funny drafts outside of Red's side today, and well, it worked last time around, even though we do have a change of sides. Clearly we've seen that the Orthodox doesn't necessarily always work out as we saw last time around. And so for game 2, Goferino, what are we looking for here? And as perhaps a closing thought before we send it to the spectator delay.
I mean, Omega Akuma here, their composition. You only really have the Sivir for late game here, so I'm going to be looking at what the early game aggression is. Like, what can you do off of Pike Rums? What can you do off of early Vi ganks here? What can you do with Olaf 1v1s in the top lane here? You know, just get yourself up to another very solid lead here.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see that in the next few minutes, but until then, we have hit the spectator delay, but when we come back, we will have loaded onto the rift between lane 0 Maelstrom and Omega Akuma pairing knives. Hopefully these players will have the correct runes this time around, so we won't have to remake the lobby. But yeah, so yeah, that's we'll see you in next 2 minutes or so, ideally. And we are back and loaded onto the Rift for Game 2 of Blue Water League's Masters Semifinals between Lane Zero Maelstrom and Omega Akuma pairing knives. I'm Isaac, alongside me is Gofrino, and the players have finally bridged the skill gap of selecting the right runes.
Yeah, I can't say I've had too many games where I've seen a remake because of wrong runes. Great word though, coming out from Lane Zero, going to be spotting out this aggression from Omega Akuma onto their red buff here. Curious if they're going to go for anything to try and pick up any of these members right now. Looking at the map though, they don't really have anyone in the area to hard punish. It's just going to be a bit of a trade war across the rift here around the enemy Raptors.
Yeah, I mean, information is, especially at level 1, can go a long way, since especially if you have that ward directly on the red buff. That being said, HTK still has yet to move away. Might try to find a Stallion out a little bit here, and maybe Arthur suspected this. We've got a... There's no vision on any of them just yet.
Oh,
HTK?
no way.
No, HTK. No, he was the
No way.
No way. We'll get Stallion down low, but Arthur is here to at least kind of apply some CC. HTK going to run forward, trying to find a Stallion, going to be the flash. It's not enough. but it will slow down NA Stallion a lot, probably, especially since Althor was so low. We're not out of the clear
Oh my,
just yet. Level
wait.
2 from King Coney. See, I told you it did delay NA Stallion just that much more, which does pick up that kill onto King Cody on Vi. And that's going to be kind of oh no, level 2 advantage. Bonnie going to flash away, so at the very least will keep themselves alive. But well, it is a trade of flashes. However, Ratchet does have that Hex Flash, so still overall going to be largely favored over to the side of Omega Akuma.
And imagine if they hadn't been spotted on that ward level 1.
That
HTK
was
might have actually got that if Arthur had just been in topside.
yeah. Arthur, I'd say it's very good awareness from Arthur to kind of keep that up and suspect that since HTK hadn't returned to the lane, that he would try something there. A bit unfortunate that King Cody did just walk up afterwards and pick up the kill, and should start to really put a massive lead in this jungle, especially early on. You'd have to suspect Vi going to be able to fight a lot easier, at least for these first few levels now that NA Stallion should pretty much be permanently at least half level, if not a full level down. That lands, but onto Brash, and at level 3, I don't think that's exactly the moment you want. King Coney going to have to flash away on the Sivir, and that's going to land.
Oh,
Charm
beautiful.
followed up. King Coney going to get another kill on Griffin this time. Brash going low, Brash going down. That being said, right for now, this is a trade of kills. Bondi going to be putting in a lot of damage, but with these cooldowns coming back up and the minions coming through, that's going to be a lot of damage. NA Stallion is here now. Bondi not quite low enough to find anything else. Ratchet going to try to sneak away for now, and will stay alive long enough. Bondi going low, Bondi going down. Ratchet's health going to be just high enough to stay alive, and with King Coney there in support, and with King Coney on the Sivir going to be walking back into the lane. That'll be kills going over to the advantage of Omega Akuma.
Yep. Yeah, Ratchet able to just hit him with that not even close baby on that one. Barely surviving there at the skin of their teeth. And once again, Akuma coming out on top in this early game. Of course, much rockier this time around. It isn't that 3-0 banger lead that we had last time around. It is 4-2, and you did give up first blood, so things are definitely closer this time around. However, you're still definitely on top. King Coney, the jungler, though, a line share of kills. Not what you really want to see in this early game, though, because Vi doesn't do the best with your ability around this composition.
Not exactly. However, with that farm advantage in the jungle and all that extra gold, it's not something that you typically see being all that big of of advantage. You'd rather see it going on to your carries. However, it's one of those things about like early game skirmishers, especially with CC.
Down on the top side, I think. Got 3 members here.
They will now. They do. Arthur should spot them out. Does have the flash. Should be able to just hop away should it come to it. Especially if that misses. Going to be thrown back. King Coney on Vi. Going to pick up yet another kill. Going for an O now. And actually before Grubs spawn, just before, they should be coming up in a few seconds. It was that first dragon claim, so maybe we might be able to see at least one going back over to the way of lane 0 Maelstrom. That being said, NA Stallion going to be taken low, but not low enough. Brash going to try to find on the way onto mid 2 easy, however, not going to land that charm. And level 3 alone, Ileona still has a full kit available. Now with the rest of the teams available, Ratchet will try to find a bit more. Cut down, picked up by NA Stallion. Ratchet going low. Ratchet not going to be able to get away. Double kill going over to NA Stallion. I really wish that those portraits would be a little bit more accurate as to who picked it up, because it is NA Stallion on that Viego going to be able to pick up those kills, and going to be able to pick up 2 of them as well as that extra shutdown. So I was talking about gold usage earlier and how that in the very early levels, even though overall you would rather see that those kills go over to your carries, because as we get past 10 minutes, that much is true that they would use it better. These early levels, Vi wouldn't mind the extra stats so much, and well, didn't quite use them to their advantage all that well in that last fight, because now NA Stallion has bridged that gap in farm and does have 2 fairly large kills under their belt.
Yeah, disastrous play there from Akuma. I mean, I saw what they're trying there, trying to go in for that, but the problem is you kind of already used a decent amount of cooldowns there and you didn't have enough damage. Everybody's grouping up, so Griffin more than happy to just press the Pyroclasm button there and heroically outplay everyone, because that is Brand in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's one of those outplay
grab
buttons.
the grubbies off of that though. Looks like just due to the fact you have top lane prio or a single grubby off of that. Alright. Single grubby gaming.
Yeah, I don't exactly know if they're going to be pushing it. They're pushing it a lot just to find that NA Stallion. Oh, let me drop that a little bit early. Kind of. I don't know if he saw the Pyke available, or if Pyke went in, and if he presses W key, does make his presence known there, even when out of vision. Though the exact location not necessarily much. The side of lane 0 does have vision on those grubs, so will we know that's getting taken for now? It doesn't look like they'll be let it be taken for free, as Arthur comes walking up. It finds one, and I believe King Coney is out of there for now. I don't know, we're just kind of a lot of dancing and the CC chain that is linked up perfectly. And just as NA Stallion goes down, just as it looked like we might find at least one grub going back over to the side of lane 0. That's a kill onto the jungler, and that will be the 3rd grub and an extra gold going over to the pockets of Omega Akuma, as well as yet another kill going on to King Coney on Vi.
Do you really want to see kills on other people? I'll hold that thought here.
Speaking of kills on other people, Ratchet will be spotted. That being said, Bondi going somewhat low. Should be alright for now. That being said, who might not be alright is Arthur. Jeez, that is a lot. That is a lot of damage coming out from HTK.
Yeah, it's a lot gaming. No, even though you're the Gragas who typically gets to play pretty safe in lanes, you have a Phase Rush here, you can wait clear ult. I thought Ratchet might be in a bit of trouble.
Oh, it is Pyke though. Will it be enough to have all these dashes, all these jumps? It's going to take him low. The Ignite is enough to prevent Ratchet from getting that extra health region and from going out of vision. And it also claims that extra tick of damage down, and will claim that kill. Will secure it for the side of lane 0. So not all that perfect going over to the side of Omega Akuma. That being said, HTK going to be fine here, especially after that explosive cast drops and doesn't find any sort of Olaf there.
Dragon spawning here at 15. Teams want to grab that on the spawn. HTK might be a little bit of danger with how low they are there.
No, he's fine. HTK is fine. HTK is fine. HTK wins these. He's 2 levels up. HTK absolutely wins these. See, flash away from Arthur. Massive win from HTK. 2 levels up. I might suspect we'll see an Olaf ban next time around.
Yeah.
Just because of this.
HTK doesn't have teleport this game though. I forgot to point that out though. So very much so going to be focused on this side laning this time around. Or very early rotations. Right now these summoners working out well in lane. See how it comes to team fights later on. Dragon has been started up here by 0. See what the contest is coming out. So we've got some members from the enemy team in the area.
Oh, mid 2 easy's here. HTK's low, but Arthur doesn't know that mid 2 easy is here. Going to be Dragon picked up by lane 0. But it's going to be in return for a kill and a little bit more extra gold going on the side of Omega Akuma. And if we saw how well, oh no, Crash. Oh yeah, that's right. You know, sometimes you see things and you forget interactions because you haven't played the champion in a very long time. And speaking of not having played the champion in a very long time, it's going to be in a Stallion who's not going to be allowed to play this game for a while here. King Coney on, well, I guess all the kills, well, not all the kills, been too easy to pick up a kill. I was going to say all the kills had been gone over to King Coney, even if it was on two different players. Having said HDK here now, going to be CC immune, going to feel fine, going to force a flash out of Griffin. In return, see, that's what I thought how the Dispel Shield interaction went, that if you landed it, you could still move over. Now, Bondi going to find that kill. Stun going low, Ratchet taking a very dangerous amount of health. But once again, it will be another just kind of errant kill on the side of lane 0. Just found out of, in a very odd position, where you just kind of don't expect much to be happening, and, well, they get that, and they'll take it. Especially if Ratchet does stick out on a little bit too long. Does come out of vision here. Surely has to know Brash is nearby. Will it even matter? Oh, yeah, okay. But, I don't know. That's... Ratchet's living very dangerously with that one. He'll be fine for now, but,
yeah,
Ratchet, Ratchet, please. Ratchet.
Vegas Esports, by the way, for the raid. Howdy ho. Semifinals right now.
Yeah, we got the semifinal matchup. A very strong advantage over to the side of Omega, Akuma, and Paring Knives, and we have Ratchet, who, I mean, I guess it works out for him in the end, but my goodness, you are, giving me a small heart attack there with some of those shenanigans you're trying to pull. It is Pike, but man, I guess someone knows the Pike limits better than I do, which would explain why they're not the only reason why they're in Masters, but certainly one of them, because I know my own personal belief is somehow never in the right area of on the limits, either way too safe or way too dangerous, and I die. And that's my problems aside. What real problems that exist on the rest for lane 0 Maelstrom right now all exist in the hands of HDK.
I thought here.
I would be surprised. It is pushing in, but here comes Pike, especially with those 3 members on the side of Omega come around the Rift Herald. It's still 2v2 in that bottom lane. It'll be the Rift Herald claimed eventually. There we have the message, the global message popping up now. Rift Herald claimed. And actually, we're going to try to find Ratchet, who's low, Ratchet doesn't even have a chance to get out there at all. King Coney going to absorb that Shield of Daybreak for a little extra HP, but with 4 members here in the vicinity of this bot lane tower, King Coney just has to not be anywhere near this tower, and we'll run away from that one, and as a result, we'll probably give that, I say probably, maybe not.
And with that TP in the bot side, of course, so it means someone's gonna have to respawn top lane. I didn't see what happened with the grubs there. I'll put that on because King Coney days and I didn't see what happened with the grubs there because we only see 5 have been picked up here by the Akuma blades. It might have despawned while they were taking it.
I feel like that's the only possibility.
Okay.
Said Bondi has nowhere to go. Ratchet picks up the kill. Yeah, well, Collected's usually reserved for the Collected, but I mean, I guess that's one way to put it. And actually, especially as Griffin goes low once again, we see why Brand in the mid lane is often not picked, especially when you don't have that flash available. That was there's really not much Griffin could do to keep himself alive there. Spirit Rush used by mid too easy, and mid too easy showing that mid may in fact be too easy, especially if you're going up as a Brand. That being said, Ragnarok going to be popped in a Stallion. I don't believe this is a fight you won. Ragnarok still going. HTK now going to be down at hardly any. That's going to flash. Had that just come back up only probably about 30 seconds ago. Knows the limits, hops on out of there. No problem. HTK.
Oh, HTK is doing the top lane thing. They might get rewarded for it though. It depends if Arthur's able to punish.
No, he's not doing the top lane thing anymore. They did have mid too easy there to prevent any sort of easy walk up from Arthur. and some extra vision to know to walk away. So top lane thing not quite done by HTK. And we'll feel okay from it as HTK once again picks up yet another solo kill, bringing up that solo kill count to 3. The solo kill count moves to 3, not like a head-to-head solo kill count of 2 to 3. Either way, 3 solo kills so far this series for HTK alone. Well, Ratchet's going to have trouble getting out of this one. Going to have to flash. Bondi going low. Bondi going down. Perhaps did debate the ADC, but King Coney still alive. Going to be Ratchet picking up yet another kill. King Coney now going in on the Vi. Not going to get stunned up by... Okay, it won't matter though. Right? No. Wait. Hold on. It's still okay. Ratchet low. Here's mid too easy. Yet another kill by King Coney on the Sivir. And now mid too easy getting another reset. King Coney on the Vi. Going to pick up that kill. They all get out of here. Brash going low. Brash now finally getting claimed by mid too easy. And after a rough game 1, mid too easy, showing why, like I said, mid may be in fact too easy for them. Bondi, what are you doing standing this close to a champion who can go CC immune? But it won't be enough. Shutdown getting claimed by NA Stallion. So at the very least going to get that shutdown in return. I'd say at least because across the map, still not all that great for lane 0 Maelstrom. As well as this map going to continue to be opened up as that, excuse me, mid lane tier 2 and inhibitor tower going down on the bottom side. There's just more and more space getting claimed over to the side of Omega Akuma pairing knives. That would be just all that more difficult for lane 0 Maelstrom to walk into the future now.
Yeah, it's gonna be very difficult for lane 0 Maelstrom right now because it is the full AP Gragas top, which I mean is definitely kind of expected, but it means your only real front line here is Brash's this Leona, who goes in, probably is going to die pretty quickly against the combined might of the enemy team. But that, and also you just don't really have the best ways to deal with people just constantly jumping on your face, because that's good route.
They will find a lot of damage onto King Coney, and now that's the enemy juggler going down. Shut down to NA Stallion. So has that little extra bit, but with the only objective being the Baron coming up in 30 seconds. I mean, obviously shutdown gold going to feel good when you're this far behind, but really not all that much to claim when you're still down 9k gold.
Yeah, like the gold lead has also just evolved super hard by this point. So yeah, you're gonna need some more miracles here. Getting that one pick, you know, that's gonna help. That's one of the first steps back in this game. But you're gonna need a couple more picks like that. You're gonna need to be able to huddle here. Thankfully, you got the first 2 dragons of the game here once again as a lane 0, so you don't have to worry about the threat of soul coming out for quite some time here. Because to be honest, if you survive another 15 minutes and you have to be dealing with that soul fight here, as lane 0, you're probably happy with that, considering the current state.
Yeah, I mean, it's the light at the end of a very, very dark tunnel, and that light is looking very, very small at this point. But it is there nonetheless. But as this Baron gets started, there should be some knowledge from the side of lane 0 that it is being claimed, but I'm not sure how much it will matter, especially as Ragnarok's popped. Arthur doesn't have an inhibitor tower there. Hex Flash over. NA Stallion going to try to steal it a little bit too early on the smite. Ratchet going low, but they still won't even claim him. Mid too easy, going to get another proc. Going to get a third, going to be able to hop over this wall fairly easily. Double kill for King Coney on the Sivir. And now as you get the Baron, as you have HTK here, Charum's going to land. That is I mean, that's the ace. Is it game? We have the lane. We have the lane already here. You have it now.
Timers are low enough. Brash is almost
They're
back.
low enough. Brash is almost back, but I'm not sure how much Brash can do on their own.
All right.
NA Stallion up in 6. Surely it's not enough time. Please hit the Nexus. They might be able to delay this if the Nexus isn't hit. We're back. Please just hit. There we go. Finally. It was looking a little bit scary there for a moment that, I mean, really at the end of the day, 21:55, and that is a, wow, Omega Akuma. We thought they were controlled last time around in that 30-minute game where they pretty much held the lead the whole time. It was controlled, but it wasn't fast. It wasn't necessarily, it wasn't this.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely much more snowbally this time around. It was much more even when we were going into the mid game.
Weirdly,
Scoreboard
yeah.
relatively even in terms of kills, gold relatively even, but then it just kind of started ballooning around after the 15-minute mark here. Does feel
Well,
really funny considering it was a
what
B1.
inflates faster than a balloon? Because
Yeah,
that wasn't ballooning. That was, I don't know. Like I said, I can't.
erupting, exploding.
Exploding. Yeah, yeah. That's. Thank you, thank you. Someone knows the English later than I do. It's the power of the Team Fish Taco jersey that you have on. Really,
That's
very
true.
good. Immaculate choice of wear right there. But still, overall, I mean, Olaf's surely going to be banned into Game 3, right? We're not going to leave.
Probably.
We're not going to leave Olaf open for HGK, please, because this Olaf
Yeah.
has been a problem through 2 games.
Yeah, like
It's
it
like
was even with counter pick as well because you saw the
simply
Olaf
put.
in that B2 rotation, I believe. Let me
I believe it was.
Yeah, it was, okay, it was B3, so it was B2 rotation. So B3 Olaf, you responded to that with the R3 Gragas, who in theory, yes, you can die to the Olaf, but you have the body slam to get away early on in the game. You have the phase rush, you have the wave clear. But that's not how it worked out here, so yeah, I'm expecting an Olaf ban here.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see that adjustment from Lane Zero Maelstrom, even if they do make it going into the Game 3 draft. But when we come back, it will be that draft between Lane Zero Maelstrom and Omega Akuma Parry Knives here in Blue Otter League's Masters Semifinals, and we are already on match point. Don't go anywhere. And we are back for the draft of Game 3.
Goof on main, goof on everybody roast Caddy in Twitch chat right now.
Yeah. Turns out you can fat finger production. It's all right, Caddy. I
It
guess
happens a lot,
it
yeah.
happens, especially if you have like set up with keys kind of next to each other for certain scenes. I know I've done that a million times before.
Yeah.
Literally in the 2 games that I've produced before I fat fingered. It happens.
Yeah.
But no, we are
Wrong.
actually back for Game 3 between Lane Zero Maelstrom and Omega Akuma pairing knives, and we are already on match point with an Olaf ban. Thank goodness.
Yeah, unsurprised. Are they really just gonna do this again?
Please don't. Please. I mean, it wasn't
They have
bad.
to be messing with us, right?
Like it worked out last time, but like
It worked out, but I think it was their coach in Twitch chat who was saying like, "All right, we lost, we beat one." Like,
oh, someone who has been panned away every time though has been Blitzcrank. Definitely.
B1?
Yeah, B1 though, I don't know. I mean, maybe. But are you ever going to complain that we're cranking it up?
I mean, it is kind of easy to pick around B1 Blitzcrank. Like,
I mean, it is, but we're cranking it up.
you have a tank support, someone in the jungle who doesn't mind getting hooked, someone in the top lane who doesn't mind getting hooked. You know, you don't even have to like counterpick his ADC with like say an Ezreal or Sever who have Spell Shield or the Arcane Shift to buffer it. And like the Smolder Leona actually from lane 0, so I mean Smolder did pretty well in game number 1. Of course that was for Mega Akuma here. Maybe on the flip side this time.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll choose Vi and Ari, so very pick-oriented so far. Find somebody and decide that they're no longer allowed to exist. This is the name of the game from Omega Akuma pairing knives, at least so far. Especially when you're that highly indexed into it.
Yeah, Omega Akuma party knives gonna be locking in a lot of pick here, a lot of just single target. Hey, take this person off the map right now. All these champions are great at finding someone, just a single person, and making sure they get off the map. Of course, they're gonna want some backup here, and I'm curious what's gonna happen to the 80 carry pool here in the second round of bans. Because with the Smolder locked in, that's one scaling ADC locked in. You can't ban all the ADCs here as lane 0, and it looks like top lane is going to be the focus. So Varus, Jinx, Zeri, Xayah, all are open. All are pretty solid picks. I'm expecting one of those to get locked in here. So Akuma Party Knives have some extra damage in the tank here.
Yeah, still available for them. Not going to feel all too bad about not picking ADC in the first round of picks, as common as that is. I think being able to pick up Ari, which has been a fairly hotly contested pick in, well, probably most of the season even, going into last for a little bit there. Not going to feel all too bad about not picking their ADC, especially if they we're leaving ADC picks open like we are now. Xin Zhao and Viego going to be targeting that jungle pool of lane 0 though.
And there's another pro draft miss ban once again. Thank you. This is one of the main reasons we swapped off this software. Well, I guess website. It has such a bad tendency to just miss inputs.
It's weird because I don't know about like I've never actually picked on Oakball like that.
Hold up.
Yeah, where it really stands out is the picks.
No, there's a Teemo lock-in, bro.
Is that
draft?
Is that actually a Teemo? There's no way.
The thing is with pro drafts, like you'll see these red and blue boxes all the time because it just misses things. But usually, if you lock in something, it goes through. So this Teemo is not an error, mostly. Apparently, it's Volibear. Never mind. But
yeah, because if I remember correctly, how pro draft works, it like just picks anything if you don't get the pick off in time when picking. It's not. I think
for a box either way though.
Oh,
Still. Gonna be the
Whatever.
Volibear on the top lane. Well, actually, no, in the jungle. It's gonna give them some nice diving potential here for lane 0.
Well, it also gives them a little bit of flexibility to see what Omega Akuma picks here for their top lane, which will be that Dr. Mundo. And so depending on how they feel about that matchup, they could rotate it to either direction. We'll probably see real soon what they feel is the where it should go. Especially with Gragas, kind of flexibility, but Hui, yeah, we're going to assume that is going to probably be the Volibear in the jungle, with all of that considered.
Yeah, locked in as well. So lane 0, by the way, gonna be some nice scaling as well. Since you have Gragas, Volibear, two champions that tend to fall off here as the game goes on. So just getting that extra scaling in here with Smoldering also gives you just a nice front to back composition here as lane 0. I mean, you got quite the front line, and then you got two scaling carries here.
Yeah, it's fairly clear what they want to do. All the while, Omega Akuma, they have the fun composition. I'm not necessarily sure that I would. I mean, I don't mind it too much. Got a lot of fairly just generically strong picks available to you. And really, I mean, that's what it boils down to, at least what we think it is. But, what I mean, that Teemo, it's going to throw me off. I know it's Volibear, but every single time I see it, my brain, I have to like close my eye and enter my mind's eye and see it differently visually, because every single time I look at it, I'm like, that doesn't look all that good. But actually, it's just a skill issue.
Yeah, that's a pro draft issue.
It's a pro draft issue. Funny thing about pro draft is that it counts down from 30 seconds. I know I said this
you mentioned this
in
last
game
time
1,
around.
but if we are tuning in and you're not quite sure how pro draft works in comparison to draft law and the actual client itself, you get 30 seconds to pick in the game client as well as across these draft softwares. However, one thing that happens differently in the pro draft on the website Pro Draft, it starts at 30 seconds and counts down to 0. So you get to see every second tick away, which means as soon as it hits 0, you're out of time and you can't lock in anything else afterwards. One thing that League of Legends does differently is that even though you have 30 seconds to pick, it counts down from 27 seconds to give you that little extra leeway after it hits 0. So as kind of as an awareness, say, okay, we're out of time, pick something, and not leave you hanging, and doesn't give you a random showing champion as Teemo or a none ban, which is probably something as we get to the next, when we do get to the next round of bans in the client, when we do get to that. But it does leave us a little bit confused on the side of casters and viewers, and it's not great, which is the reason why when draft law is alive, we tend to prefer it.
Yeah, there's a reason why we moved up to pro draft. And looking at the in-client selection right now, everything's going where we expected.
It's looking like it was a Kaisa ban, actually.
The only question mark is, well, question mark was maybe we see the Volibear and Gragas swapped up, but I haven't seen Gragas jungle a bit here. And I'm curious how it works out here, because the Mundo was kind of potentially blind picked here. We haven't really seen that out from HTK this series. Mundo, of course, much different than Olaf. Yes, you can run down people, but it's not quite the same between cleavers and axes, because Mundo can't really just mow someone down. It does take a little bit longer. But yeah.
And we'll have to wait and see how HTK does adjust on a new champion, being forced off that Olaf, and for very good reason. And seeing Ratchet on Blitzcrank as well has been kept from him as a result, and we'll just have to wait and see if Omega Akuma can make this a quick 3-0, or if Lane 0, finally having HTK off that menacing Olaf, perhaps can find a way back into this one by taking one away. But we'll have to wait and see until after the spectator delay, because when we come back, we will have loaded onto the Rift for Game 3 between Lane 0 Maelstrom and Omega Akuma Pairing Knives here in the Blue Water League Masters Semifinals. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you then. We And we are back for Game 3 between Lane 0 Maelstrom and Omega Akuma pairing knives here in Blue Water League's Masters Series. And we're sitting on match point. Omega Akuma are set poised to at least pull off what I would have to assume is being an upset. Lane 0 so far in the season, before today, had only lost one game. They have now lost 2 in a row without finding a singular win. But main thing, HDK no longer on Olaf.
Yeah. Funnily enough, even though there's a Blitzcrank this game, and we see Lane 0, Maelstrom just setting up around their red buff here. Oh, I thought HDK. This shouldn't be a kill.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't be.
You do have cleavers to run down Arthur here.
Yeah, but you don't have a reset on them to let you throw 50, do you?
They're a low cooldown, but yeah. Able to keep topped off though. Get some health back from that grasp. I think HDK got 3 procs in that trade, so that's an extra 21 health going into this lane. I'm feeling happy about that. HDK
Yeah,
even just hanging around the red buff too, dropping a ward there, it looks like.
Yeah, it's going to give all that little extra information Ratchet to kill that one. Actually, as that first cleaver lands, HDK said these cleavers will find another proc of that grasp, finding a lot of damage onto Arthur here early on. So once again, while not quite exactly the same, HDK kind of popping off here on this excuse me, Dr. Mundo fairly early, even with that level 1 disadvantage.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Like, I know Mundo does do some pretty respectful damage if you're able to keep landing those cleavers. But I didn't expect it to be this much early on. Alright, working out well here for HTK.
Yeah, I'm it's not quite the same, especially as Arthur's now slowly starting to turn this around. This exchange. The reason why we focus so much on this top lane is because it was such a massive point of contention and solo kill. Just just under 3 minutes in. Solo kill going over to the side of Arthur onto HTK. So back at you finally for this top laner of lane 0. Going to be able to claim that Arthur now, though, not quite expecting the teleport, not expecting the amount of damage that HTK can put out on this Mundo. Can they find the kill? Can't quite put out a lot. The minions are able to do the work for him. And it is a trade of kills in this top lane. So 3 solo kills within, well, not within 3 minutes, within 4 minutes here in this game already. All locally in that top lane.
Yeah, gang coming out of the bot side here. I'm looking for a hook. Because King Coney, the jungler, around in outgo game.
Oh, the hook will go into Brash. Bit of a delay. Here comes the rest of the team. Brash going to have to flash away. Now it's NA Stallion here. Brash going to try to find any sort of CC to at least help the rest of his team out. Damage coming through. Ratchet going to have to flash away. Now do they turn on to King Coney or do they keep this one up? They will move away, especially as mid 2 easy would have been off the map for a while there. Whether it be Griffin calling it out or heads up awareness from the side of, wait, hold on, we're not over just yet. Ratchet is here. Bondi going low, just waiting for this. Did the hook ever go? I'm sorry, what? NA Stallion here now. Ratchet in an odd spot. The minions will do the work for Bondi. They're picking up that kill. I don't know if, I honestly never saw Ratchet throw out a hook. Maybe he threw it out extremely early and didn't have it there, but
I'm looking to shape up here. This is a big wave.
This is a massive wave. King Coney going low, King Coney going down, King Coney going to miss most of those minions, if not all of them. Trade in return going over to both King Coney on the buy in the top lane. But most importantly, she's still here.
Yeah,
It'll be fine.
Just interrupting recalls there. Much better early game though here from lane 0. They're able to stifle the aggression in top lane because you have 2 kills here for Arthur. Although they did get ganked there, so now down 2 deaths. And great plays on the bot side here. You now have a 3-0 Smolder sitting on the Swift. He's sitting on the Sheen as well. The Sheen, a very big power spike for the Smolder because when you press that Q, you apply it, and it is just a free point and click there on that one. Lets you farm up the Qs, or farm up the passive stacks. Mucho well as slash on over.
No.
Almost slashed into that one actually.
Well, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, but what does count in League of Legends is a missing flash on Griffin. Going to be absolutely massive on this very immobile way in the next few moments, especially as mid to EC does now have access to the Spirit Rush. So as soon as we see some move away from this mid lane, I would not be surprised at all to see a move onto Griffin here by the side of lane 0 Maelstrom.
Looks like grubbies have been started here. You got Prado in both your solo lanes as lane 0. The first grubs they get all series long, funnily enough. They've been getting the early dragons instead. Looks like that might be the trade, although King Coney, the jungler, is actually just stealing the enemy blue buff right now.
You know that those grubs are down. The hook onto Bondi from far out will get a lot of initial damage down, so a good trade. We might see a dive, but we have 2 members also heading over to this. Ratchet going to be taking quite a few tower shots just for now. This is a bit. This is not looking good for the side of Omega Akuma. It's going to be 2 early kills going over to the side of lane 0, and now there's not much you can do as King Coney here on the Vi. King Coney going low, King Coney going down, double kill for Hui, and all of a sudden we have a lane 0 Maelstrom, very early 2.5k gold lead. Very strong performance here. Something that you would definitely want to see out of them with their backs up against the walls currently in this series.
Yeah, and it's gonna net them so much here. I mean, both your carries, Griffin and Bondi, they got most of the kills on your team here. You got the first 3 grubs, you got the first dragon here as well. You're leading in every metric.
Yeah, they're leading in all across the board. Not only that, we don't have a trade of neutral objectives. We have every single neutral objective going over to the side of lane 0 Maelstrom. So just that little bit extra, just I guess, power in their pockets that you don't quite see on the gold graph. So that little extra punch going to come through, especially on these towers, especially in this positioning. It's going to be very difficult if you're on the side of Omega Akuma to really find a way back into this one. I mean, or you can find a few picks. They can still find picks, but my biggest concern is that they're so far behind that sometimes you find a pick, you find the one you can't get out of it, and you lose your whole team. Arthur going to be doing a decent amount of damage. Dosage does come through, going to get that extra region, but Arthur's still looking fairly alright. Trades of ultimates there, and not much else to speak of here in the top lane.
Yeah, while the Mundo, like Olaf, can be CC immune, it's only for that one spell, and you're not as sticky as we have seen in this match here. So Arthur able to pop that cask if that passive's down and just run away. If not, you just body slam away. Much easier time compared to when you're against the Olaf. Just big chillin' here on the top side. Like you mentioned, decent gold lead already forming here for lane 0. Omega, not out of this by any means. You know, this isn't a game-ending lead. Can still find some shutdowns here. But it is the first time all series long that lane 0... Oh, flash.
Oh, especially if we find something like this onto Griffin. Shutdown going on to King Coney on the Vi. Not exactly who you want to see that going over to in that 2v1 on that gank into the mid lane. You would have much rather seen that go on to mid 2 easy. However, gold's gold at this point.
Yeah, and I want to see what that results in here. Doesn't look like a mid 2 easy is going to use that to back here. Could have used that extra bit of gold in the tank there to back, maybe get a bit of an extra item power spike here before these next grubbies, because you don't really want to be giving over the 6 stack. But hey, you got the kill. Well, you got the assist so still feeling fine. And Rome? Question mark? It looks like it's just okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing on the map that's going to be coming up are these grubs, especially after it was a little bit delayed from that first dragon being claimed afterwards, especially considering that both were claimed by lane 0. Especially now that we have presence on these grubs, I would hope to see something around HTK. Seeing a lot of focus. Should be alright here, but with 4 members now in and around this top side, and with King Coney on the Vi not moving towards this barren pit at all with these grubs in it, I should say that this is probably going to be, this will be all 6 going over to the side of lane 0.
Yeah, lane 0. First dragon, all 6 grubs. I'm surprised that didn't land.
Yeah, honestly, same. That very much looked like it should have hit, but hitboxes in this game are an enigma that not even the best allied code breakers can figure out. So we'll just continue on as that was, and we'll be fine here in the bottom lane. It's going to be King Coney waiting around a little bit longer. I would have to imagine they know that King Coney's here with the wave where it's at.
They might be assuming King
Set, Rash will have to flash away. Will find Bondi though. Mom will be called, will be enough damage. TP's coming down. Arthur's here. Ratchet's low. Ratchet's claimed by Bondi. And so a gank that looked somewhat promising at the beginning turns into a nightmare as Volibear's here as well. Feather Scholar will be
good shutdown.
used. Shutdown getting claimed by King Coney, and yet another kill
Bing.
going over to side.
Boom.
King Coney picking up 2 now. Well, at least King Coney picking up 1 and other King Coney picking up another. So it has been able to turn around by Omega Akuma after kind of a roller coaster of a gank there for both sides. Looking really good for Omega Akuma, and then to suddenly look really bad, but it took too long to find those kills, and all of a sudden looks fairly good again for Omega Gaming, especially now as Ratchet is here. Will force flash out of King Coney on the Xayah. Is there enough damage to find the damage onto Arthur? No, there's not. King Coney will be claimed. This is an AP Gragas, so those will hurt as that is getting claimed, and now as Griffin's here, any sort of hope as finding the kill onto Arthur has now vanished. And Ratchet's going to have to hightail it out of here before that lands. And that's going to be
chapter sword boots.
Well, I mean, it is true, but I mean, I will say Ratchet was also fairly low, and also 4 levels. I mean, he's also 4 levels down on 4 levels down on Griffin. So, I mean,
one thing I wish they would fix about support, like the fact that you just spiral out of control when it comes to level losses.
Yeah, so I think that had less to do with the itemization and more had to do with Griffin being 4 levels up. Coney might be in a world of hurt here as NA Stallion hops over, flashing.
Just got back to lane.
Yeah, going to miss another wave. Going to be lane 0, picking up even more plates with all 6 scrubs here, and going to be King Coney on the Xayah, missing just that much more farm as Griffin picks up yet another kill. And not only that, not only do they have the kills on the side of lane 0 so far, they're also on to exactly who you want them to be.
Yeah, then the shutdowns that were picked up by Akuma, most notably the one that was on Blondie, they go over to King Coney the jungler, which is
HTK.
You don't like that.
Going to spot Griffin. Speaking of shutdowns available, Griffin should have a pretty good one on him. Dosage will be used, and that will be, at the very least, a shutdown getting picked up by the top laner of not lane 0, of Omega Akuma. So going to find all that extra gold, but I'm not exactly sure that's the most efficient champion that you'd want to see that go on, but once again, gold's gold.
Yeah, Mundo does have decent scaling after the rework. I'll hold that thought because King Coney the jungler topside does have
we'll try to find the way onto Arthur. This is a full AP Gragas. And now that the damage is gone, here comes Bondi. King Coney going to find that one, and not mid too easy. Once again, you would much rather see that going onto the mid laner. One more charge of Spirit Rough should be enough to get them out, though.
Yeah, getting a little close there, but a flash from King Coney the jungler will get them on out, and it is a 1-for-0 in the top side. Reclaiming some gold there. Even though they're technically ahead in the gold, just due to the fact that you are against the Smolder, who is going to outscale Xayah, and you are also down these 2 dragons and the 6 scrubs. That's gonna
King Coney will be found by the Zenith Blade. And a Stallion, though, fairly alright here. They should be okay with this. Not much should come from this. I say as Ratchet takes a decent amount of health.
No one dying there on that mid lane play. Results yet to be seen here. We still got Herald in the pocket here for King Coney the jungler. You can use that to break open the turret here. Definitely would be appreciated for Akuma. Just get themselves some extra map control here before this next dragon in 2 minutes, because it would be sole point for lane 0, and unlike the previous 2 games here, you don't exactly have a blowout lead going into this, or even a solid lead going to this. It's right now about 1,000, and that's nothing at this point in the game. Looking for the hook right now. Okay, not gonna happen.
Yeah, even though the kills and objectives have been going over to the side of lane 0, they still are at a 1k gold deficit, but I have to imagine with the extra stats that they have claimed across the map, that's more or less basically even at this point in terms of in terms of rolls, bonus stats and abilities claimed from these items. So, I mean, at this point, it's the best that the best state we've seen Lane 0 in so far. The very least, they could hopefully start to pull Omega Akuma around the maps where they want them. But my main fear here, if you are on the side of Lane 0, is that if this mid lane tier 1 goes down, it's when you start really losing control over this map, especially as they don't have any other tier 1 towers available to them. Which is where most of this gold has come from, over the side of Omega Akuma. Now, and with this Drake coming up, they could very easily stop the stacking should they find a fight, or just continuously good positioning here with 30 seconds on that Drake, and that's a very close hook from Ratchet.
Yeah, that is one of the dangers here, because Akuma, they're able to... Oh, hold that stock.
Hold on. Will be used. Season the assist going to find onto Bondi. Bondi going low. King Tony going to pick it up. That's a massive kill. Griffin does find a big shutdown, though. We're not over just yet, but we may as well be double kill going on to mid 2 EZ. And now Griffin and Arthur will have to head away as HDK is just going to run at them and most likely be okay as we head on to this mid lane tower. I would suspect that we move over to Drake afterwards. Please do we?
Here, they're on a ward.
Yeah, we'll find way. That's the big one. Going to force a flash out of Griffin for any sort of future fight. So, once again, another huge cooldown not going to be available, even though no kills will be given over. This lead, despite the kills disadvantage, despite not having the objectives, going to go up to 3k over to the side of Omega Akuma.
Test coming out here, teleport as well. There is no smite, there is no guaranteed true damage on this right now, but Jungo's in the pit, fight still breaking out.
So long as you position them out, Brash going low, Brash going down, but they got the CC at the start of the fight, which is exactly what you want. Hopefully start this out, especially when you're behind. Bondi does pick up one. King Tony still fairly alright. Gets the kill onto Arthur, so at the very least, they do manage to pick up the Drake on the side of Omega Akuma pairing knives, but we go back level in terms of the kill count now, but the main thing, especially as this Rift Herald was claimed, we might be picking up yet another tower, gaining all that more map control, especially as the teleport coming down. I don't know, Rat.
Check the PayPal?
Yeah, Ratchet on the spell book. Already a fairly unique choice of runes. I mean, I guess you're trying to find value at it there. I mean, I guess spellbook is fine, because like, what other rune do you go on Blitzcrank other than maybe Aftershock? Some might say Glacial Impact, but honestly on Blitzcrank, I think it's a little bit redundant, because you already pull them to you, and like, if they get away, it's going to be with a blink, which slows Don't effect. But I mean, so it's like I guess, but with that teleport there, not going to be the best use of that unsealed spellbook for sure.
Yeah, still overall a huge dub here for Omega Akuma. You know, they won the fight beforehand in the mid lane very handedly, able to transition that into that mid lane inner, as well as stopping the dragon stacking and a dub off the back end of it. 2 for 2 in that dragon fight, if we want to include the
the teleport.
Terrible teleport.
Yeah, that was I don't know. I don't quite know what Ratchet was trying to do there. His teammates had way too low health bars. Even if he does find a flank there, his team really wasn't in any sort of condition to follow up on it. So I don't know. Yeah,
and Calm is gonna take over the Rift right now. Very even game state, although 4K is separating these two teams. Meaning too much at this point of the game, because it's just within shouting distance. Everybody relatively even here. Biggest thing, of course, though, is still Bondi as this Smolder. 6, 2, and 4. Has those 2 items definitely scaled up. We haven't seen a stack check out. Nope. I'll hold that thought, actually.
They're going to start on
Baron. I think they're just trying to force out. If you force out a teleport, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, it's taking a while to react.
I'll go for the
they are here now. They'll pull away from it.
Backing up, they're backing up.
Yeah, they'll find the hook onto the support. Brash going low. Brash staying alive for now. A little bit too long. There it is. HDK picking up that kill, but all the while that does buy a little bit of time, but it's not enough as HDK is still full health. Ratchet will be claimed by Glyphon at the very least, but this is where the action really is. King Coney going to find the stun onto the Gragas, onto Arthur. I don't think it's going to be a Penta on the Mundo. However, it is going to be. It would be funny. I won't disagree with you. It would be funny, but three. I mean,
Tony the jungler, pretty low here.
Yeah, I don't.
Check the PayPal.
Yeah, and apparently Baron is now just considered a minion according to the game. After
I mean, that wasn't execute.
It was, but I mean, I think the wording of that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't trust Riot to properly code in saying a Baron Nasher has slain, blah blah blah. But
am I just psyching myself out with the reading thing?
Yeah, still 3 for 1 in that fight though. Drag it up in less than a minute as well, so I think we're gonna definitely see some more action here. Mr. Jeffy Isaac.
I would be very surprised if we don't, and within at least the next 3 minutes. Especially how we're starting, how Omega Akuma is starting to position around this dragon pick. Ratchet moving very far forward. Knows he has a team behind him. Doesn't matter, won't care, tries to find Bondi, won't quite land that. Gets a little bit too far forward. Griffin going to pick up that kill. I'm going to continue with this on the side of Omega Akuma. I don't know if, I mean, the backline is very low, but I really don't feel like this is what we should be extending. We'll find the kill onto Bondi, but at what cost? HTK going low. HTK going down as it's claimed by Griffin, and the rest of Omega Akuma aren't really in a position to follow up on that fight, so it's a very confusing state of affairs if you are on the side of Omega Akuma, and that does give the positioning for the side of Lane 0 Maelstrom to pick up the Drake. That being said, King Coney on this fight is still alive, but I'm not sure if it will be for long. Shutdown getting claimed by Arthur. And actually, King Coney will have to flash away, but it obviously won't be enough. Health bar too low. Arthur going to be able to close that distance. Mid too easy does find the kill onto the Leona. NA Stallion going low does find the Hextech Drake, so putting them on soul point now, but mid too easy with these full health bars. Does find the flash charm. Does get feared up for now, but still has more than enough health. Ratchet flash in, finding the knockup. Mid too easy, staying outside. Mid too easy, way too low. To really try to find a way in there on that Spirit Rush, and will go down as another kill gets claimed by Lane 0 Maelstrom.
Yep. As I'll be honest, Kuma there, slightly questionable. I don't think they really had any right contesting that dragon. Like a little close off the back end there, but you just didn't have members and everybody slow. You're starting a Baron now.
I don't know about this.
Definitely got shock value, but there should be a ward being dropped.
I mean, is it really shock value? They had to clear out vision on it, and I do believe they would have seen the Baron getting started and the timings of that. So I don't. Yeah, it's a bit of an odd decision there from King Coney, but I mean, I guess they get a response at the very least. I don't know how much of a big of a cost that comes for Lane 0 as we just kind of start moving back around again. Hopefully we'll see something pop up and around with Baron still up as it is, because this is, I believe, the longest we've gone without seeing a Baron in this game, in this series so far. We're looking for a little bit more, just anything, honestly, at this point. It's been a little bit slow from both these two teams. Maybe not slow, but Ratchet is looking, as he has done multiple times, oftentimes to his own detriment.
Yeah, I was gonna say 098 is Blitzcrank. Yeah,
hey,
that's one
he
of
does.
That's one of the issues with B1 picking Blitzcrank. Like, it's, you can just kind of counter pick it, like we see here. Like, do you want to hook the Leon? Do you the Volibear.
Okay, but he did pick out Bondi that one time, and single-handedly won that fight. Which is one of the things about Blitzcrank is he could be 0-9-8, could having the worst game of his life, but he does find that one hook. It won't.
Their life, because Blitzcrank is non-binary in the lore.
You know, I don't have a counter to that other than habits.
Yeah, I kind of noticed like every caster just kind of key hims everyone on playing, which is like.
Habla en español, ¿sí?
See.
So, that's my excuse. No, I don't actually speak Spanish.
I don't know. It's just something I've noticed. Yeah. Part of it is I just think like everybody thinks everyone who plays a video game is a dude, unless proven otherwise. But yeah. Either way, Baron's still on the table here. Teams want to do. I mean, a lot of vision in the pit. Akuma, they've been trying. They really had the best success though.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really have, I mean, other than King Coney, they don't exactly have the fastest take, and every single time that they've tried starting it up, the rest of Lane 0 has been nearby anyway, so it hasn't really mattered that they do have the Zaya available. And so we just kind of sit around and hope that somebody shows their hands a little bit too far, or we just sit and wait for this next Drake in a minute. Where I'm not sure why it's showing. I'm not sure why it's showing Infernal Drake. We're on a Hex Tech.
That's
now.
just been oh my, Baba Booey, and they still unable to get their blue buff. That's been a thing ever since they introduced the 2 new dragons. In what, season 10?
I believe you're right with that one.
Yeah, like it's just bugged in Spectator. That's why you see Infernal there, even though you can see the buffs under the board.
Oh, Arthur is going to be spotted out by King Coney's teleports coming through. A lot of getting committed to it. Exploding Cask. I don't know if we wanted to teleport there, HTK.
You're starting Baron.
Start Baron off of that. I don't know how much you want that, especially since you're going to be seeing Zaya pick it up. They've committed a lot to this. I don't know how much I like it, though. It's very questionable. Brash is here. A Stallion should be able to get in. Hopping down. There it is. The steal. Almost predictable with that one, but the rest of this fight, how does it go? Arthur kind of in a world of his own here. Bondi is here. It does get spotted, but that's going to be a bit too far from King Coney. And now that's 1-2-4-1 going over to the side of Lane 0, of Omega Akuma. But you're right, it does give Soul, especially with how low these health, or I mean, maybe it gives Soul. I mean, no, it absolutely does King Coney's down. So is NA Stallion. Actually, they should be able to take. They should be able to take this one fast enough. With right, HGK is here.
Already below 5K at 3K. They don't have
a here. Ratchet does come through. That's a lot of damage. And it will be stolen. It'll be Ratchet on the Blitzcrank, steals the dragon as well. So no soul getting claimed by Lane 0. So the lack of a smite coming up huge here in this fight. Ratchet, I mean, you said he hasn't been doing good, and admittedly hasn't exactly had the greatest performance of his life on the Blitzcrank so far, but has had moments, and that for sure is definitely a very big one. Keeping the soul out of the pockets of Lane 0.
Yeah, waits for the 911 power spike here. And able to steal the
0911. Hey,
0911.
It's the land of the hidden power spike, that the not often talked about one. Is that Blitzcrank? When he hits a 0911 becomes a god. It's just simply, that's how it works. I don't write the rules. I'm just learning about it too now, so.
That's one of the things with doing a camp or doing an objective without jungler. You know, your health bars were pretty high there. You don't have smite to secure that. And also, there's a really good farm by Mid Too Easy, who's 6-0 and 11. We haven't really been talking about them this game. Even though I
feel like I've said Mid Too Easy a lot. It hasn't been quite the pop-off effect, but it also hasn't been. It's also been a lot slower this time around. Mid Too Easy definitely being involved a lot in these fights. especially damage-wise, sitting on a 25 stack Magi Soul Stealer. Going to have a lot of extra AP there. That being said, Lichbane Ari. Lichbane Ari. Care to enlighten me? Or can you even enlighten me? Is this just some sort of secret tech that... I mean, it's more AP. That's...
I think Lichbane's just been a strong item for a lot of mages. Especially Ari, since...
Alright, Froggen, I hear you.
Like, you do kind of get in a little close when you dash on it. Yeah, I haven't seen it too much. I know it's a strong item right now, though. Well, I haven't seen it too much on Ari.
Well, mid too easy. Going to land a charm here, and look at those level discrepancies for mid to support. 5 levels over Brash, and that was just 2 abilities finding its way onto a decently tanky champion. Obviously, tank supports Lamau more like, I mean, I feel like CC supports are definitely more appropriate at this point. They're not tanky anymore, especially when you're 5 levels down on a 25 stack Magi Soul Stealer. But we'll just kind of just wait around for a bit. It's not really much to do on the map, so unless if somebody stumbles into a bad situation, but considering the positioning of Omega Akuma, we just kind of... I mean, what are we on? What are we on about? I mean, like, at this point, we just gotta change it up completely away from the game, because this is, I don't suspect we're going to be doing much in these next few minutes. Go for Reno.
Yeah, be looking for some blitz hooks here. I mean, we already see Ratchet here in this. First one is that Caddy Pans on down. But yeah, Ratchet sitting in this brush right now, looking for some. Okay.
Prey has arrived.
A lot harder.
And we're just gonna.
They're playing the long con.
I do like Ratchets. I like the Death Bush idea. I won't really result in much, and unsurprisingly so, because why risk it at all? Because I mean, there's really nothing to be fighting over here other than maybe an errant member. So I mean, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, because you got a minute till Dragon here, so a pick right now, especially 34.5 minutes in the game, that's gonna buy you more than enough time to just take control of the map, get yourself a Dragon or Aaron.
It would, but we also have all 5 members in the mid lane on the
Ratchet's
side
coming in
of lane 0. Another Ratchet flank. Didn't necessarily go too well last time around. Here we go, quickly flying in. Charm will miss. Flash hook not going to miss, and we're fighting now. Right before the objectives, Brash goes low, Brash goes down, mid too easy, picks up that first kill. King Coney finds the way onto Bondi. Bondi going low. Bondi finally, not yet, does finally go down, getting claimed by HTK, and it's a very dominant fight from the side of Omega Akuma, finding yet another kill, shut down onto this way. Arthur's going low. Arthur will survive for now, but we're actually teleporting in. We're teleporting in, or we're trying to find the game. We are
50-second death timers.
They are long enough to find the kill, but it's what can Arthur do? It's a mid too easy. His health bar is very low. This is where the Lichbane might actually be huge. That was one auto attack, and with the demolish proc on HTK. Going to find another turret here for now. Arthur just doing this again. Brash up now, but Brash probably not going to be able to do much on their own. Does find that one. King Coney picks up that kill. Going to be another one to King Coney, and that is game. That is game, set, and match for Omega Akuma pairing match. So kind of out of the blue, really. Very suddenly. I mean, we knew we would have to try to find a...
Guys, please. Come on. We literally know the result here.
We literally have people leaving the game, and a Stallion isn't even moving. We know that this is... Guys, there we go. Confirmed 3-0 from Omega Akuma pairing knives. Going to probably surprise a lot of people there, myself included. I mean, because before today, I know I've said this multiple times, before today, Lane 0 Maelstrom had only lost 1 game all season, including in the playoffs. 3-0 last week, sitting 12-1 on game score after the 7-week regular season, and just like that, they just Omega, I mean, in fairness, it's Omega Akuma pairing knives absolutely popped off, but much to the surprise of probably anyone who's followed this closely at all, is that they're out. They're out in convincing fashion.
Yeah. Well, game 3 definitely looked like Lane Zero had it there for a while here. They had the gold lead, they have the objective lead. It was just a few fights around that mid game, especially around that 3rd/4th dragon where things started really falling apart for them. It was gradually and slowly. Do we see this? It just took that one last fight at the end and TP's into the base to end it.
And I maintain that Lich Bane won that game there with a few of the auto attacks that Ari put through as a result, doing about a quarter of the health bar to those towers. But oh wow, excuse me. Nonetheless, one fight is all you need. One fight in a just very oddly timed. I mean, no objectives were coming up, but still, it was like we're committing. Everybody just decided to commit everything to a somewhat random mid lane fight. That concludes the game. I mean, that's how it goes. Sometimes we had to push in the mid lane over the side of Omega Akuma, and yeah, rest is history. Congratulations to Omega Akuma going through to the finals over one of the Dorado Gaming teams in that Dorado Gaming semifinal on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah, we should be finding out who they're fighting soon enough here. I'm assuming that game's happening tonight, could be happening later this week, but we'll have to see what it is next week here, of course, because yeah, I think we're done here for the night.
So with that in mind, thank you everybody for tuning in. I've been Isaac. Alongside me has been Gofarino, and behind the scenes this whole time, guiding us through all the issues, once somewhat self-inflicted, but we still continue. You did a really good job overall, Caddy, behind the scenes on the production, making all of this possible, as well as all the Blue Water staff for having us on. We appreciate it, and have a good night. We'll see you soon. See you tomorrow even. We won't, but